First, I'll outline our procedures. A summary of the appeal is presented by the staff, then the appellant will present its case. The board members may then ask questions of the appellant. After that, all persons supporting the appeal will be permitted to testify one at a time, after being recognized by the chairman. When those persons supporting the appeal are finished, those opposed to the appeal will then be permitted to testify and/or ask questions of the board after being recognized by the chairman. And that be me. All persons wishing to testify, whether for or against any appeal, may only do so after being sworn in. When testifying, each person must come forward to the podium after being recognized, speak into the microphone, and state their name, address, and any affiliation to the case. All persons testifying will be limited to 4 minutes unless a board member requests additional time. All testimony is given to the board only. No comments or questions are to be directed to the appellant or anyone else in the audience. The board will only hear new, non-repetitive evidence or questions. Should someone wish to show support of previous testimony, they may do so by following the testimony procedures and stating their support of previous testimony. Now, will all persons who may give testimony this evening please stand, raise your right hand, and swear or affirm? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. So, are there any changes to tonight's agenda?
Mr. Chair, we've received a memo from staff requesting some direction regarding the agenda. Heretofore, it's been that we've had a public hearing on all the cases, and then we'll go into deliberations. And why I'm doing this now is because our agenda is so formatted in a regard that is different to that. Right now, the agenda shows a public hearing, followed by a closing of that public hearing, and then the board's discussion of that case, and then taking a straw vote, with final decision and journalization of those cases being towards the end of our meeting. And I think staff is looking for some agreement so that in future meetings, they know how to prepare the agenda. So I'm wanting to take care of this so we can so then we can approve the agenda. So my thinking is that I am in agreement with our agenda tonight, where we will hear a case, public hearing, and then go close the public hearing, and then go into the board's discussion of that. So staff has indicated they don't need a motion on that. However, they do want some direction. So I was just wanting to throw that out there before we look at our agenda tonight, so we can affirm my direction, my recommendation.
So, do we have anybody, is everybody okay with that? Any,
Yes.
Yes. Same.
okay?
All right. Thank you.
Then, Mr. Chair, I approve that we approve the agenda.
With a second?
Second.
All in favor? Oh, wait, that's a different type of board. Okay. You want to call the roll? Sure.
Mr. Lawrence?
Aye.
Mr. Shekels?
Aye.
Mr. Haber?
Aye.
Mr. Nye?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye. Okay. Okay, go ahead and read the staff summary for the first case.
So we need to do approval of minutes for January 2nd and then February 6th.
That needs to be put on this sheet then. Doesn't ask for that. Oh. Do I have a approval on the minutes, please? Call roll.
I did not have,
Hold on.
Sorry, we need a motion.
I did not have any additional changes to either of the minutes. I don't know if anyone else did. You?
What was corrected?
You're
You don't know what's different?
I do not.
Okay. No. And maybe it's appropriate to talk about this time because I think our regarding minutes has changed over time. And we've received this for January, but I think what Mr. Nye is saying is he doesn't know what's changed
Oh, I see what you mean, okay.
from last time. So I was under the understanding at our last meeting that we approved these minutes with a condition of the changes that had been submitted. I was unaware that they were continued to this month.
Yeah, so we had continued them to be approved at this month's meeting, so that staff was able to make the changes. Staff did make those changes that Mr. Haber had suggested at the February 6th BZA hearing. So we were going to approve them tonight.
Just going forward, if we're going to change, could we, when they send out in the next packet, could they be italicized or
Okay.
redlined or somehow distinguish what the change was?
Sure, yeah.
Thank you.
That being the case, then I would request staff to reissue the January 2nd, 2020 minutes with the notations so itemized. I have changes to the February 6th minutes that we've received, and I don't know if anybody else has changes, but I will submit those to staff. So my motion here is to continue approval of the minutes of the January 2nd and February 6th minutes until our next meeting.
Before we, rather than submitting your changes to the staff for them to make, do you want to tell us what they are so we can, I mean, because if I didn't have any changes myself, so I'm curious
Okay.
what you caught that you thought was inaccurate.
So regarding January 2nd, are we in agreement with that?
Sure.
Okay. On February 6th, in the middle of the page, approval of minutes, Mr. Nye moved, Mr. Sion seconded to continue the approval of the minutes, and I was not of that understanding. I thought we had approved them regarding the corrections.
That was not my memory.
You remember as a continuation?
Yeah.
Then I will take that off the table.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I think we should go through these now.
Thank you. On page 9, there is a decision and journalization of both cases 3 and then 17. And again, I am not understanding that we paused to journal those cases before then consideration of case 4, 2020.
We did because case 4, 2020, the applicant was represented by one of my law partners. So that's when I left at that point. So we did everything that I could do up till then. I nearly killed myself falling off the back of the dais here, and then I left. So I don't know what happened after that, but we definitely did journalize those cases before case 4 came.
Okay. Then on page 15, the decision and journalization of case 4, 2020, where Mr., you had already left by then. Mr. Nye moved and Mr. Halpin seconded. And was it true that the chair seconded the motion? Is that,
So I'll review the.
I don't know.
That decision.
seems out of order to me.
It is, yeah.
So most of that is mostly my recollection.
So I think you're right about that last one, though. for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a good point.
Okay.
So we need some, so it sounds like we need some additional review on that point. And so we'll ask staff to look at that and we'll kick these over till next month. That's the motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, January 2nd, you want to kick over next month to see what the changes are. Okay, that's,
Okay.
if that's the motion, then I second.
Okay, so I move that we continue approval of the minutes for January 2nd and February 6th over to our next meeting.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Can we have a roll?
Mr. Lawrence?
Aye.
Mr. Shekels?
Aye.
Mr. Haber?
Aye.
Mr. Nye?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Good.
Thank you for your patience out there. Okay, case, can we have a summary on case 13, 2019?
Thank you. For case 13, 2019 BZA, the applicant is Joseph Barrand. He's also the property owner. It is located at 1045 Anderson Hills Drive, and it is Zone C residence. The applicant is requesting 3 variances. A variance request to allow an existing 7-foot, 6-inch high privacy fence to be located in the side yard area, where only a 6-foot high privacy fence is permitted in the side yard per case 8, 2011 BZA. The second variance is a request to allow an existing deck to have less than a 5-foot side yard setback, where a 5-foot side yard setback is required per Article 5.2 A10 of the Anderson Township zoning resolution. And the third variance request is to allow an existing hot tub to be located in the side yard, where hot tubs are only permitted in the rear yard area per Article 5.2 A7 of the Anderson Township zoning resolution. The applicant has constructed a wooden deck, a 7-foot, 6-inch high privacy fence on top of the wooden deck, and a hot tub in the side yard portion of the property. The applicant indicated that the size of the deck is 21 feet by 9 inches and did not indicate the size or location of the hot tub or the height on the fence, on the site plan submitted February 19th, 2020. The history for this property, the house was built in 1966, and the current owner purchased the property in August 2011. In May 2011, the Board of Zoning Appeals granted a variance for case 8, 2011 BZA to allow a 6-foot high privacy fence located in the side yard area. In 2014, the applicant installed a 4-foot high split rail fence in the front and rear yard areas of the property. In September 2019, Anderson Township Planning and Zoning staff, while inspecting a nearby property, noticed a deck and fence in the side yard area of 1045 Anderson Hills Drive. Staff notified the applicant of the zoning resolution violation on October 2nd, 2019. The applicant submitted a Board of Zoning Appeals application on October 17th, 2019 for the November 7th, 2019 BZA public hearing. On November 7th, 2019, December 5th, 2019, and January 2nd, 2020, staff recommended that the Board of Zoning Appeals continue case 13, 2019 BZA due to an incomplete application submitted by the applicant. The application was incomplete due to an inaccurate site plan, and staff requested the property owner to have the property surveyed to confirm the setback of the deck and fence. On February 6, 2020, the Board of Zoning Appeals voted to hear case 13, 2019 on March 5th, 2020 Board of Zoning Appeals hearing based on the application submitted October 17, 2019, even if the applicant does not submit a complete even if the applicant did not submit a complete application by February 14th, 2020. On February 18th, 2020, while taking pictures, staff noticed the existing hot tub located in the side yard portion of the property. The applicant submitted a revised site plan on February 19th, 2020. However, staff has concerns that the site plan is not accurate based on CAGIS information and on-site measurements by staff. This is the property map. The existing deck is located in the side yard portion of the property. Because this is a corner lot that has frontage on both Artwood Drive and Anderson Hills Drive, the property has 2 front yards, and then this is determined to be the rear yard. This shows an aerial map of the property. showing the proximity of the existing house at 1045 Anderson Hills and the existing house at 1075 Artwood Drive. This is the topography map of the site. The property is relatively flat, slight slope going down to the west. This is the site plan that the applicant submitted on February 19th, 2020, showing the existing deck and the existing deck, as well as the existing fence that's located around the deck. It also does not show the stairs that are also present on the property. On this site plan, the applicant indicated that the existing deck is 5 feet from the property line, and did not indicate how far away it was from the neighboring property at 1075 Artwood Drive. This is a site plan showing the measurements that staff took while visiting the site multiple times. The applicant had indicated that the deck was 5 feet from the property line at the center point there. However, staff measured that it was 4 feet 9 inches from the house of 1075 Artwood Drive, and then 5 feet 1 inch from the house at 1075 Artwood Drive in this corner here. The existing deck is also located 4 feet 4 inches from Artwood Drive here at this, from the residence at 1075 Artwood Drive, this portion as well. And then staff also measured the distance from the corner of the deck to the existing driveway at 1075 Artwood Drive, and it is 4 feet 6 inches. This is looking at the property in question, 1045 Anderson Hills Drive from Artwood Drive. This is the existing deck and fence area. So staff at this point measured, down here, measured 7 feet 6 inches from the ground to the top of the existing fence. This is the view of the existing deck from the corner of Artwood Drive and 1045 Anderson Hills Drive, showing the proximity of the existing deck and fencing to the house there. This is looking from Artwood Drive over towards the west, showing the proximity between the property to the north. And this is just a zoomed in version of that picture. This is the view of the existing deck and fencing, as well as the stairs, from looking towards the east. So at this portion of the fence is about 4 feet 4 inches in height, and there's about a 2 foot 4 inch gap between the ground and then the existing fence. And then staff measured this portion of the fence to be 6 feet in height. This is an image showing the existing deck as well as the stairs, and then the hot tub is here in the back corner. This is an image showing the existing hot tub as well as the existing deck and fencing. The applicant did not indicate the size of the hot tub. However, as I mentioned earlier, it is not permitted to be in the side yard area. This is the existing deck and fence looking to the west. And this is the deck looking towards the east. Staff is of the opinion that the variances are substantial. The existing deck is 1 foot 6 inch higher than the 6 foot high privacy fence approved with case 8/2011 BZA. In addition, the existing deck is located 4 feet 4 inches from the neighboring residence to the north at the closest point. The existing hot tub in the side yard portion of the property is located on the deck, approximately 7 feet from the residence to the north. The essential character of the neighborhood has been altered, and adjoining properties could suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variances. The existing deck and fence are located 4 feet 4 inches from the neighboring residence to the north at the closest point, while the existing hot tub is located 7 feet from the neighboring residence. The applicant did not receive approval from Hamilton County Division of Buildings and Inspections prior to constructing the deck or placing the hot tub on the deck. In October 2019, staff received an email from Hamilton County Division of Buildings and Inspections stating that the existing deck is required to comply with Section 302, fire-resistant construction of the 2019 Residential Code, Ohio. The applicant has not indicated if the deck complies with this section of the code. The variances could adversely affect the delivery of governmental services. The applicant has not indicated if the deck has been constructed with fire-resistant materials or if the deck can support the weight of the hot tub. The owner's predicament can be feasibly obviated through some method other than a variance. Building a 6-foot-high fence in the side yard portion of the property is permitted in accordance with Case 8, 2011 BZA. The applicant is permitted to construct a deck in the side yard portion of the property, but the deck must be at least 5 feet from the property line in accordance with Article 5.2, A10 of the Anderson Township zoning resolution. Staff is of the opinion that the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would not be observed by granting the variances based on the height of the existing fence, the distance between the existing deck, hot tub, and neighboring property to the north, and the inaccurate information provided by the applicant. A setback to the property line has not been confirmed by the applicant. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Can you go back to the site plan that shows staff's measurements?
Yeah.
again?
Those are from the house, not the property line, correct?
That's gonna be my question.
Yeah, that is correct. As I mentioned, the applicant did not indicate where the property line is located, so staff measured to the house.
And can you go to the photos that show, I mean,
Oops, sorry. Which one, Mr. Nyam?
I would say the chain link fence
Yeah,
in a
the-
neighboring yard would be the property line, or close to it.
that's my best guess as well, yeah.
Right
So-
there.
So it looks like the deck is on the property line or within a foot of it, certainly. Is that, the fence is that,
Yeah, usually the fence is just inside the property line,
yeah.
and there's a gap between there, so I would say they're both.
But we don't have a survey for sure.
Right.
but-
There was no indication of a survey when I visited the site.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, as I mentioned, the applicant did not indicate where the property line is actually located.
And the deck is 9 feet wide, so the house, so if that's the property line, the applicant's house is about 9 feet, maybe 10 feet from the property line, is that right? The deck's 9 feet wide?
The deck is 9 feet wide,
All
yeah.
right. Okay. And the highest point, the fence measures 7.5 feet, right?
That's correct.
And that was looking from the west from, is it Artwood, I think?
Yeah, it was from Artwood Drive.
And it's basically a 6-foot fence on top of a 1.5-foot lattice work.
That is correct.
Okay. Which is almost exactly what that house at Immaculate Lane had 2 months ago, right? Okay. Just in the other direction, at the lattice work on the top.
Yeah, that's correct.
Just as a point of clarification for me, okay, we say the fence has to be 6 foot, but it's sitting on top of the deck. So are we considering the fence being from the ground, even though the fence doesn't go to the ground? Or are we considering the fence to start at the deck?
So staff considered it start at the ground due to the lattice work that is currently on the existing deck as well. So we considered it to be 7 feet 6 inches in the tallest point.
If the lattice work was not there, would it still be considered?
So it's, I'm not sure, because it would be.
I'm just trying to get some
yeah, 'cause-
clarification for
Yeah, so
myself.
so that's how we considered it, given the circumstances that, of the existing deck and fence.
Based on the picture that's on there now, it looks like the deck is The slope of the land would tell me it's higher off the ground than where the lattice work is on the other side. So is that 7 foot too, or is that higher if you go from the ground?
From this portion of the ground up.
Yeah.
So we,
So it looks
so
like it's about 2 or 3 feet.
yeah, so staff measured the height of this portion of the fence to be 4 feet 4 inches, and then from this portion down to the ground to be 2 feet 4 inches. So it'd be 6 feet 8 inches is what staff measured.
It looks shorter than the other fence. It is.
Yeah, so this existing fence is 4 feet 4 inches, but the existing fence right here was measured at 6 feet tall.
If you would, can you go to one of the site plans
Mhm.
that you've got? I just want to get clarification on front yard, side yards.
Sure. Do you mind if I go to the property map?
Sure. That works.
Yeah.
So we got the
Um,
devilish corner lots.
Yeah, so because it is a corner lot having frontage on both Artwood Drive and Anderson Hills Drive, we consider this to be the front yard portion, anything in front of the house going towards the streets. This portion going back here is considered the side yard portion because they would be unable to meet a rear yard setback in that location. And then this is the rear yard portion of the property back here.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Will the appellate or the appellate representative please come to the podium, speak into the microphone, state your name, address, your affiliation, and present your appeal?
My name's Joseph Barron. I live at 1045 Anderson Hills Drive. I'm the owner. First of all, I'm sorry we're in this situation. I didn't know going with an existing privacy fence. Didn't look into it. It was all my fault. I should have, but I was just going off existing placement of the old privacy fence, and I ended up building a deck. A couple things on that site plan, 9 feet, that one right there, as of right now, it's 10 feet. And when I spoke to Mr. Ginty, he told me to leave it as is until, if there was an approval. I contacted Hamilton County, and I was told by them that as long as it's under 200 square feet, that everything will be fine through them. So I'd have to cut it down, because right now it's at 10 feet and then 23 feet long. That's as it sits in those pictures right now.
It's 10 by 23 right now?
10 by 23.
You're proposing to cut it down to 9 by 21 to keep it under.
Correct.
200.
Keep it under the 200 square feet.
Okay.
You know, in all honesty, if you go back in those I mean, I have a lot of work to do, as you can see with some pictures. I have water problems in the basement, you know, so I'm not gonna bring it up a full 2 feet of dirt, but I'm gonna be adding dirt around the house, so that'll eliminate some of the 6 foot or 7 foot high existing fence. But I mean, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to, you know, make things right too. I mean, I have multiple letters from neighbors. I don't know if that really helps anything, but I make copies for each one of you if you'd like to read through them. I'm just trying to better, you know, things I do have. I've never had an opportunity to sit out in it's always been the driveway, to be honest with you. I wanted a place for a family sit and enjoy a nice dinner, and the hot tub doesn't work anymore. It froze, so that's going bye-bye, so we don't have to worry about that. But that's another thing I really didn't know anything about. like I said, I mean, so basically the 5 foot off the property line, I work for Hamilton County Engineers, and I went through my survey department, and they gave me cages online, and I spoke with my neighbor to the north about it, and we were somewhat in agreements. Because I tried to get a surveyor out there, and it's $1,300 just to have it one surveyed, and I was like, well, I really don't have the money for it. So we were kind of in agreements on where the existing fence was and the property line. So as of right now, if we cut it back, if I cut it back a foot, I was assuming it'd be around 5 foot. That's where that plan came from. Is it legal? No, probably not. But,
Are you doing the work yourself?
yeah, me and my brother. My brother, he owns his own business, building houses, construction. He was there helping me and guiding me along. And I provided, I don't know if you guys have them, pictures along the way. I know it's stout. I got 6x6 posts surrounded in 24-inch concrete, 36 inches deep. Every stud's foot on center, and he told me to do that because I was planning on getting a hot tub up there. Typically, a deck, you only need 16 inches on center. I did a foot on center. I'm just doing what he told me to do, but he was there helping as well. It's built right, but I mean, I guess since I did the work myself, there's no proof of it other than pictures. It's not connected to the house. It's freestanding.
I have a question. This picture, was this the existing fence that was there?
That was the the
Original-
existing
is- is
privacy,
you- and
yeah.
I can't tell, so I'm assuming, you say that's in the
That's-
same position as your,
Yeah.
is right now?
Yeah, so I took the old one down and then built the deck out and but then I put it up on the deck, so it just raised it. Because what was there before was a patio that had, and that's why all of it needed dirt brought up. It sloped, fell into the house, and I was having all these water issues. So I built it up by the house a little bit underneath to get the water to flow away, and then I built the deck. Because coming out of the sliding glass door, there was like 4 steps. And I was like, I don't want all that. So I have kids, and I just wanted to go out to a nice deck, really.
You said the hot tub's broken, so are you, I guess, withdrawing the application for variance with respect to the hot tub? You don't-
Yeah, and if later on down the road, if I need, I'll do stuff the right way.
Okay.
So I can just put in an application to get approved for a hot tub, yeah. But as of right now, that one, yeah, the pump's off, it froze, because I went on vacation and ended up freezing.
Okay, so the screen we're looking at here
Mhm.
is 5 feet. Is that to the property line or to the building?
Right now, as Mr. Ginty, it's 4 feet, 4 inches
From the edge of the deck?
from the
to
deck
building?
to the house, yeah.
Do you know how close it is to the property line?
Well, again, you know, working with the
I know
county,
you don't have a survey, but is
Yeah.
there, you understand where the property line is? Is it on
not
the property
guaranteed. The
line?
only stake I could find, a metal stake, is on the complete opposite corner. I was out there with a
Forget surveys. I mean, just, based on
No.
your understanding of, where your property is and where your neighbor's property is.
exactly, no, I don't.
You don't know?
Nope, it's not clear,
Okay,
so.
okay.
Nope. I mean, it is a good question. I mean, it is a good question. I don't know. I just couldn't afford to get it surveyed.
I understand.
Would you say the chain link fence is a good gauge? Your neighbor's chain link fence?
Is it your neighbor's chain link fence or is that your chain link fence, Mr. Huff?
It's my neighbors. Yeah, it's my neighbors.
Presumably that's on his side of the line.
I would
Property line
assume,
somewhere. Yeah, right.
I would assume,
Assume, yeah.
or close.
Okay.
Yeah, but then, when I got my survey from the county over there, I just don't know unless you really get it surveyed. So, because when you go off the line, which I provided, they're not accurate. I mean, I guess they're not completely accurate, so. Yeah, but I was gonna cut it down to be in accordance with Hamilton County, and I got in contact with them. They said, anything under 200 square feet, you can do whatever you want with. I said, okay.
Did you build it out of pressure treated?
Pressure treated lumber,
lumber?
every single piece, yep. Yeah, I have the receipts for all that too, actually.
Is it also fire resistant?
I don't even know what kind of wood that is.
You just went to a Home Depot, bought pressure-treated lumber.
Yeah.
What, do you know what it would take to get an inspection on the fire?
Protection wood,
Well, to get it inspected, to determine whether it hits the fire code.
I'd have no idea. I could probably call county, I don't know if the county does that or not.
Do we know?
No, staff doesn't know if they, if we, I know planning and zoning staff would not, inspect if it was fire rated. I'm not sure if our fire department does that, do you know?
Basically, the way it would work is, if this were to be approved, it would move on to the Hamilton County Building Department to be approved, and they would be the ones to determine whether or not this is fire rated or not. So, staff is unable to determine that, and that would be determined at the next step, should this be approved.
Well, I think it's up to the appellant. I mean, we're not here to talk about building construction. The only point is, regarding the size of it, is if we grant a variance, to what extent are we gonna grant a variance?
Makes sense?
I agree, yeah.
And we can talk about that.
Have any other questions?
Okay, so your intent is to go 9 by
21.
21?
Or, yeah, or I might just take, because those steps are gonna be kind of a pain in the butt to cut back a foot. I could also just take 3 feet off. Well, no, I need to take the foot off. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go 9 foot out to 21 foot long. That would be the best bet, and that would give you more distance in between wherever the property line would be, I guess.
Okay.
No other
Thank you.
questions?
No
Thank
other
you.
questions?
Good.
Thank you.
All right. Did you want those letters, the neighbors' letters to read?
Yeah, you give it to them.
How many do you need?
However many you want to give them.
Get multiple copies of each one.
Yeah.
One of each is fine.
We're not gonna.
We've
not
discussed
gonna-
this in the past. The board can choose whether or not they want to accept those letters and review them. Since, I'm not sure if any of the people who wrote the letters are present tonight, but if they aren't, then that would not be considered testimony, and the board doesn't have to take that into consideration, but that decision lies with the board.
I think if you give him one copy, we'll tackle that in a little bit.
Thank you.
You good?
That's it? Thanks, sir. Is there anybody else?
Ma'am, can you come to the podium and then state your name and address?
My name's Cecilia Powers. I don't live near this gentleman. I live at 8321 Bridle Road in Anderson. Pardon me. My question has to do with, how is it determined that that is the side yard? And why is it determined that that's the side yard? And why is it considered 2 front yards? That's just a point of information for
Sure.
myself.
So let me go back to the property map.
Yeah, because
Um,
it seems to me, and I'll just explain my thinking, which is probably illogical, but most times when you look at a house and the driveway and the front of the house faces one street, it would seem that the back is that way and there are 2 side yards. And just please explain to me why it's considered 2 fronts.
Sure.
Sit down now, right?
Yep, yeah. So because the property has frontage on both Artwood Drive,
I mean, why is it
so
considered frontage?
because the property is located next to the road. So the property has 2 front yards because the yards are facing 2 public streets. Okay.
And to flesh it out, though, we're considering the yard at issue here is not a backyard because or not a rear yard, because the rear yard building setback in this zone is however many feet it is, and the house is within that, so it can't be a rear yard.
So Mr. Nye, the way that staff determines the side and rear yard when there's a corner lot or a double frontage lot, they are required to meet a side and rear yard setback. So when the house was built, it was chosen that this would be the rear yard because they could meet the setback that's required for the C residence district, and then this was the side yard because that's what they could meet for the C residence district. Does that offer a little bit of clarification? Okay.
Okay, now we'll take testimony from those persons who are in favor.
Are you in favor?
Hi, I'm Beth Deering. I'm the neighbor to the north. And I guess it
I'm
probably...
sorry.
Address?
Address.
We'll need your address.
1075 Artwood Drive.
Okay.
And I think the deck is great. It doesn't impede my home or yard or fence in any way. I realize that probably doesn't really matter a whole lot, given all the rules and regulations, but as the neighbor that it really affects, I just want you guys to know that I'm fine with it. I think you did a great job with it, and I hope to get invited to a barbecue.
How long have you lived there?
I've been there 5.5 years.
5.5, okay. And it does matter to us
Thank you.
what people think, especially the neighbors.
Before you go, do you know where the property line is?
Yeah, you're the one to ask.
No, I just, like Joe said, when we discussed it, we just assumed it was a smidge across from the fence.
So the chain link fence was there before you bought the house?
Yes.
But so far as you know, that's more or less the property, within a few inches of that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you just kind of assume that when you buy a property.
Yeah, I would.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Are you in favor? Okay.
Ma'am, can you come to the
yeah,
podium
I'm
and then
sorry,
state your
that's
name and
go on.
address?
Were you sworn in?
No, I wasn't. I didn't,
Yep, got to swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. My name is Sarah Burton. I live at 7089 Jeannie. I'm the other corner, opposite from this property. I've been there 33 years. I have 1 front yard, 2 side yards, and a backyard. If I were going to improve my property by putting up a hot tub and a deck, guess what? I would probably want to do mine on my larger side yard. But I don't plan to do that. And my question to you is, how old are these zoning laws and restrictions? This is 2020. I think what this gentleman is doing to his house is an improvement. I don't see it as being offensive, and he's putting his own sweat and hard work into it. I like to see that in my neighborhood, and I've been there a long time. So I want to know how the zoning restrictions are. Have they been set for 63 years? My house is about 63 years old, and have we evolved to something that allows people to do this? That's my only question. Thank you.
So the Hamilton County began zoning in 1948, and then Anderson Township zoning became effective November 3rd, 1987, and it was amended in May of 2016. But we've had township zoning since 1987.
I've been in approximately 350 houses in Anderson Township alone because I do consultant work. Thank you. And I know the neighbors in this neighborhood, we try very hard to keep our property maintained, even though it's an older neighborhood. We do value our privacy and our property. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody, we will now take testimony from those who oppose the appeal.
Mr. Halpin, there was another gentleman that,
Oh, is there somebody else want, okay, come on up. Sorry, I didn't see your hand.
I'll get the name, if you get the address.
My name's Robert Shelton. I live at 1059 Eastland Terrace. The side of our house is Artwood, and then Eastland is a street coming up away from Joe's house. And the side of our house faces Artwood the same as Joe's does. And we've been there 53 years. We had the house built there. Eastland Terrace at the time only ran to the end of our property. That was all big field up there before. And I said, you see how some of these neighborhoods, the people let their property go. And, it looks good. We probably see more of the fence and everything than anybody else, because it's the side of our house. And I think he's doing a good job, and if everybody do that to their property, Anderson will still stay the same. So I'm in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions? Okay.
Mr. Halpin.
Anybody else want to speak in favor? And you've been sworn in?
I was sworn in.
Okay.
I live at 1030 Anderson Hills Drive, which is just down the street on the opposite side. I think he's doing a great job. I like what I see. Anybody that's improving the neighborhood, I like that too. And I don't think it looks bad. I think it's a great job. Wade and I went over and watched him doing some of the building. I was sick, but I was watching some of the stuff, or I'd have been in there helping him. But I like seeing everybody work on their own homes and get it fixed up the way they want it so they can live nice. My name, again, is Tom Schroeder.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Schroeder? Okay. Any other in favor? Okay, then we could take testimony from those who are not in favor. Seeing that there are no oppositions, we can go ahead and close it.
And Mr. Halpin, if I had a chance to interject
Sure.
with, just to offer some points of clarification based on the applicant's testimony. The applicant had indicated that the deck was freestanding and not attached to the house. But just based on site visits and the site plan that was submitted by the applicant, it does show that the deck is attached to the house. And then I did want to just remind the board that variances do go with the property regardless of the owner, so they go with the land. So, thank you.
As far as how is it attached to the house? Is it the beam attached to the house, or is the...
So we consider, because it is connected to the house and there's an exit door, so it is connected to the house. So we consider that to be attached and not an accessory structure.
Is that because it's actually attached to the house or it abuts to the house?
I guess abuts would be a better word. It touches the house as opposed to, yeah.
It's
Okay.
not attached by like a header board or anything.
Yeah,
You
no
don't
header
have, do you have
board.
a header board on the house that you laid off? But, okay.
Oh, and that's on the piers? Yeah. Okay. It's not on the house? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Are there any further questions from the board? Hearing no further comments and if there are no objections from the board, I will close the public hearing on this case. And the board will take this case under consideration and deliberation, and we'll go from there. So,
Mr. Chairman,
Do we have to move for that?
no. We've got 3 variances here. I'm going to go out of order.
Oh, sorry, can we get a motion to close the?
So move to close.
Second?
call the roll.
Mr. Lawrence?
Aye.
Mr. Shekels?
Aye.
Mr. Haber?
Aye.
Mr. Nye?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
The variance 3 has been withdrawn because of the existing hot tub being inoperational, and the appellant has said that he's going to remove it. Regarding the location and the size of, I don't know where else you're going to put this thing. We've got sliding doors that are coming off a public space within the house, likely a family room or a living room or something. And the adjacency of the deck next to that makes a lot of sense. He can build it in the rear yard, which means it isn't going to be contiguous to an interior space within the house. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So regarding the location of it, I think this is a good example of undue hardship because of the proximity of the house to the side yard line and this being a corner lot. And we know the difficulties that we've had given corner lots. With that given, I'm willing to accept the current size of the deck and can probably make a motion into that regard and not force the appellant to trim down the size of the deck so it gets underneath 200 square feet. I would think that it makes sense that the appellant goes to Hamilton County and sees if he can't get a building permit. We don't know the materials, and that's really not germane to what we're talking about here. So I could easily phrase a motion that says that the deck wouldn't be larger than 10 by 23. And if he wants to reduce the size, that would be up to him. I think it makes sense that based on its location, that it should be where it is. And therefore, I would be willing to grant a variance for the location as well as the larger size. Regarding the regarding the first variance, which is the 7'6" high privacy fence, is I am not willing to go along with that variance because of the code there. I don't think there's anything that requires it to be that high. So I would request that the fence height be reduced down to where it's 6 feet above the exterior grade. And I am measuring the top of the fence from the grade area. So my recommendation is that we deny variance 1, we grant variance 2, given its current size as a maximum, and then number 3 goes away.
When you say 6 foot, the topography is such that it slopes away towards the backyard. Are you saying 6 foot from which side? From Artwood? If I measure 6 foot here, it's going to be different than 6 foot there.
Would you like me to pull up the pictures? Sir?
Yes, please.
The top of the fence is a maximum of 6 feet above the grade.
Okay.
So that can be accomplished a couple of ways. Either the fence steps down, or you look at the lowest point that the fence is going to be over, and then that's your datum point for the top of the fence. You understand that?
I understand where
Yeah.
you're going. I'm not, in the location, I'm not sure that's an issue that
I think on the second variant, size of the deck, I think the point about, obviously this is coming off of some kind of interior room is a good one. You can't really build this deck anywhere else. With respect to proximity to the property line, the neighboring structure, this is one of those problems that's caused by a corner lot and a small corner lot, which makes it a lot harder. So if this were a rear lot, and I think a lot of people, as we heard some testimony, would consider that a rear lot, colloquially, it could go all the way to the property line, right? If I remember correctly?
Yeah, so if it wasn't, if it was 3 feet, if it was under 3 feet above the grade, or above the exit door, I mean,
Under 3 feet above the exit.
above the door. So if it was, so
I'm
say
talking about
for,
the deck, not the fence. We're talking about the
yeah, I'm talking about the deck. Yeah, so if it was, let me go to this one picture here. So because it is it is less than 3 feet above this point, it is allowed to go to the property line if it were in the rear yard.
Okay, so applying a common sense definition of rear yard rather than a legal definition of rear yard, and I say that as a lawyer, the deck would be permitted to go to the property line.
If it were located in the rear yard,
Applying
yeah.
the common sense definition of rear yard, yes. If that were rear yard, the deck would be fine.
But,
go to the property
but as staff interprets
I
it for this,
understand.
yeah,
I
yeah.
know. I agree, I agree
Yeah.
it's a side yard. We're talking about whether or not we should vary the requirement,
But
right?
given the placement of the house, that's the back of the house, so common sense would tell you that's the backyard.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah, okay. For that reason, I don't think, I would be in favor of a variance that does not require him to narrow that down. Now, if he's gotta narrow it down for the county, you know, that's up to him and that's up to the county. But I would be in favor, again, recognizing that it is a side yard legally, and that's why he needs a variance. I'd be in favor of granting that variance. I think, though, I would also be in favor of granting the fence height variance. And again, this is an unusual lot. And I know that just 2 months ago, we required an applicant to trim his fence down by about this much when he had the lattice work on top of the fence around the bottom. What I'll say, what's different about this particular yard is that it is a corner lot. It's a much smaller corner lot than the one on Immaculate Lane. But also the neighboring house doesn't have windows right on the other side. They're not looking out of their kitchen window at a fence, unlike the other house, where we said, yeah, you gotta take it down a little bit. I think that's a material difference, and so for that reason, I think I would vote in favor of granting the variance for the higher fence, in addition to allowing the deck.
Okay. Any more comments?
I agree with you about the fence.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
All right, then. Can we get a motion?
I think we're maybe gonna have a split vote on this. Should we do one at a time? I guess I would move as to, Mr. Chairman, as to variance number 1. I would move that we grant the variance and permit a 7.5-foot privacy fence located in the side yard, consistent with the plans submitted to staff. Is that clear enough?
So we would need some reasoning as to why it would be allowed. So,
Yeah,
just
okay,
based
sorry, yeah.
on the testimony you just gave, yeah.
Sure.
So if you just rephrase your, yeah.
Well, so, Mr. Chairman, I would move that we would grant variance 1 to allow a 7.5-foot high privacy fence located in the side yard. The reasons being, considering the criteria from the zoning resolution, I do not think the variance is substantial in light of the small size of the property, the fact that it's a corner lot, and the fact that the neighboring house does not look out on or open onto that area of this particular lot. I do not think it would alter the essential character of the neighborhood. We heard testimony from residents of the neighborhood who have been there more than 30 and more than 50 years. I think they have a pretty good sense of what the essential character of the neighborhood was, and they think it's consistent with it. I have no reason to disagree. The variance would not adversely affect the delivery of governmental services. The 5th factor, the property owner purchased the property with knowledge of the zoning restrictions. That does weigh against him, but it's only one. And I think the big one that Mr. Haber brought up earlier is the owner's predicament. These are extenuating circumstances. It's an unusual lot, unusual location. I'm not really sure what else he can do here. So I think that factor weighs in his favor as well. Adding these all up, does the spirit and intent of the zoning requirement served by granting this variance? I think the answer is yes. We're here to protect the public health, safety, and welfare. We heard several neighbors say this is good for the neighborhood. I don't know what more you can say other than that. So that's my motion.
Second, and I'm going to add that, because I was concerned about that case that we had on Immaculate Lane, and yet you bring up some further criteria about the difference between the two. So I second it because being in favor of your motion.
Okay. We got a motion and a second? We have a,
Yes.
for the first one.
Yeah, but should we still, yeah.
So we're calling roll just for the first variance?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, do
Mr.
you guys have anything else?
I'm good.
Mr. Lawrence?
Aye.
Mr. Shekels?
Aye.
Mr. Haber?
Aye.
Mr. Nye?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye. Okay, on the second one, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve, we grant the second variance to allow the existing deck to have less than a 5-foot side yard setback, so long as the deck remains consistent with the plans submitted, not larger than the plans submitted to staff. He can narrow it if he wants or needs to, for substantially the same reasons as I articulated with respect to the first
Okay.
variance.
And then could we just get a clarification on which date the plans submitted?
Yeah, that's a good. So, this is a good point. So the plans are dated February 19th and show a deck that is smaller than what is there in the photographs, correct?
I'm not sure.
The testimony was it's actually 10 by 23, right? Okay. So, I would approve a variance that permits the deck as constructed, not the deck
Okay.
sits with the plans, not larger than the deck as currently constructed.
Okay.
Which we understand to be 10 by 23.
Gotcha.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Call the roll?
Mr. Lawrence?
Aye.
Mr. Shekels?
Aye.
Mr. Haber?
Aye.
Mr. Nye?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye. Okay. We're finished with this,
No, we still have three. We still have to do three.
Drawn
Do
or
we-
do we deny?
Are you withdrawing three?
I think it was withdrawn. Yeah.
Okay, he
Yeah, it
withdrew
was
it.
withdrawn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that need to be part of some public record? Will it be in the minutes or something?
It'll be in the minutes, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and I mean, it will be in the applicant's testimony as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
No, thank you for your participation on that one, and now we'll move on to the next. We'll
And
have
then
to generalize
as
it.
far as next steps, we'll issue a zoning certificate for the existing deck and existing fence. So we'll be in touch. Oops, sorry. And
Well-
then our intern Kyle will be presenting case 5, 2020 BZA.
Evening, guys. So case 5, 2020 BZA, the applicant is Tony Kramer of Kramer Pools Incorporated on behalf of Ryan Tomey, who is the property owner of 7150 Raglan Road. That is Unit 15 in the Hermitage Club. So the applicant is requesting a variance for a swimming pool to be located in the side yard and 53 feet from the front property line, where a swimming pool is required to be located in the rear yard and 60 foot from